Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are tearing away the veil on one of the most destructive, bewildering, and deeply shameful truths a narcissist hides behind their polished charm, their compulsive, predatory sexual addiction. You are here because you felt the shock of betrayal. You uncovered the hidden apps, the secret conversations, the unexplained late nights. You've tortured yourself with the painful questions. Was I not enough? Was I not attractive enough? Why do they need so many others? I am here to tell you this clearly. Your supposed inadequacy is a lie they implanted in your mind. The reality is colder, darker, and far more mechanical than you ever imagined. We are going to expose why the narcissist is not a lover, but a prisoner of a biological drive they cannot govern. We are taught to believe that cheating comes from a broken relationship or a lack of love. In the realm of narcissism, that belief is false. The narcissist's sexual behavior has nothing to do with you, your body, your desirability, or your performance. It has everything to do with a vast, screaming emptiness inside them that they frantically attempt to fill with other bodies. Sexual addiction in narcissism is not about desire. It is about regulation. They use sex the way an alcoholic uses alcohol to numb their inner pain, silence the relentless inner voice, and create a fantasy version of themselves that feels powerful and wanted. Mind, the question that haunts you at night is this: how could they look into my eyes, say they loved me, and then betray me with strangers? The answer lies in the nature of the addiction itself. To a narcissist, sex is not intimacy. It is a transaction for supply. When they are with you, they extract supply. When they are with someone else, they extract supply. There is no distinction because they do not truly see people. They see objects. They hoard attention, and their sexual addiction is simply an expression of their endless greed. You probably noticed the warning signs early, but you mistook them for passion. The intensity, the hypersexuality, the constant craving for validation through touch. It felt like obsession, but it wasn't obsession with you. It was the frantic momentum of an addict chasing a fix. They love-bombed you physically to hook you, turning you into a dependable source of the dopamine they needed. And just like any addict, they built a tolerance. The addiction demanded a stronger hit, a new pursuit, a new conquest, a fresh source of validation to stave off withdrawal. This addiction thrives on pursuit. The narcissist gets the dopamine rush, not from the act itself, but from the chase. Once a new target is secured, the high drops. That drop fuels an endless cycle of hunting. They are sharks that must keep moving to survive. If they stop, they are forced to confront their own thoughts. And for a narcissist, self-reflection is annihilation. Sexual conquest becomes a distraction from the deep shame and emptiness at their core. They flee from themselves, using other people's bodies as stepping stones. The narcissist's sexual addiction is often linked to somatic narcissism. Even when they appear cerebral, they still weaponize their body. Their sense of worth comes from their power to seduce. Without being desired by multiple people, they feel hollow and worthless. This is why they flirt with staff, keep exes dangling, and maintain a harem of orbiters. They require a non-stop flow of external validation to support their fragile ego. One person can never fuel a machine that consumes this fast. You must understand this behavior is compulsive. They cannot simply stop. It is not a choice as you understand choice. When the urge strikes triggered by stress, boredom, or an ego injury, they enter a trance. They will jeopardize their marriage, career, and reputation for a fleeting thrill. It is pathological risk-taking. They feel untouchable, convinced they are smarter than everyone else and immune to consequences. This arrogance is the signature of an addict who believes they control the substance until it destroys them. Blamed, the secret life they construct is elaborate and chilling. Burner phones, hidden emails, dating profiles you never knew existed. Their life is compartmentalized with surgical precision. You are living in one room of their house, believing it's the whole structure, while they operate a brothel in the basement. Discovering this double existence creates betrayal trauma so intense it mirrors PTSD. You realize you were sleeping beside a stranger who viewed your trust not as a gift, but as a vulnerability to exploit. Why do they hide it if they feel entitled to it? Because they need your facade. They need the stability you provide. You are the public proof of their normalcy. The good spouse, the good parent, the respectable citizen. Without you, the cover collapses. They want everything, the thrill of addiction and the safety of the sanctuary you built. It is the ultimate selfish act, using you as armor while stabbing you from behind. Now, today, we are going to dissect the anatomy of this addiction. We will examine the biology, the psychology, and the darker spiritual hunger driving their need to consume. We will expose why they are incapable of fidelity, why therapy so often fails, and why your love was never going to cure a disorder woven into their very wiring. To understand their lack of control, we must look at their brain chemistry. Research suggests narcissists show abnormalities in regions tied to empathy and reward. They are dopamine deficient. They cannot experience pleasure in life's quiet, subtle moments the way you can. A sunset, a hug, a conversation, these moments barely register. They need extreme stimulation to feel anything at all. Sexual conquest delivers a massive, sharp surge of dopamine. Biologically, they are chasing a high that ordinary life can never supply. This sexual addiction functions as a painkiller. Beneath it all, the narcissist carries a crushing weight of toxic shame. They feel flawed, inferior, and small, and that shame is intolerable. Sexual conquest becomes a temporary anesthetic. When someone desires them, the shame briefly goes silent. In that moment, they feel godlike. They feel powerful. But because the relief comes from the outside, it fades quickly. The shame returns louder than before, demanding another fix. They are locked in a biological loop of shame and acting out. We must address objectification as a survival strategy. To the narcissist, people are not human beings with inner lives. They are tools for gratification. They strip others of humanity in order to use them. This is why they can turn cold and detached immediately after the act. Once the biological urge is satisfied, the object is no longer required. The person is discarded like a used tissue. This dehumanization makes cheating possible without guilt. You don't feel remorse for using an appliance, and in the grip of addiction, that is what you are to them. Mommed narcissistic sexuality is often performative. They are not experiencing intimacy. They are watching themselves perform. They are fixated on their image during the act. They check themselves in mirrors. They focus on their own pleasure, their own performance. The partner exists only as a prop to support the scene. This dissociation blocks real connection. They are alone with their ego, using your body to gratify their vanity. Bland risk itself becomes an aphrodisiac. The danger of being discovered intensifies the high. Adrenaline blends with dopamine to create a powerful rush. Doing it in your bed while you're nearby or with someone you know heightens the thrill. These violations make them feel superior, smarter than everyone else. This duping delight is a central element of the addiction. The betrayal is part of what excites them. They suffer from emotional anorexia and sexual bulimia. They starve themselves of genuine emotional nourishment because vulnerability terrifies them. To compensate, they binge on sexual encounters. But like bulimia, they cannot absorb what they consume. They purge the experience, discard the partner, and remain empty. They ingest countless bodies while gaining no nourishment for the soul. They stay spiritually malnourished while gorging on flesh. Lend, the narcissist also uses sex to regulate anxiety. When they feel powerless in work or finances, their sexual acting out escalates. It creates an illusion of control. They may not control their boss, but they can control a new conquest. This is displacement, attempting to solve an internal crisis through external domination. That's why cheating often coincides with major life events like weddings, births, or funerals. Stress activates the addiction. Novelty is their only god. The narcissistic brain quickly stops responding to what is familiar, a phenomenon known as the Coolidge effect. No matter how attractive, intelligent, or skilled you are, you eventually become familiar. To a narcissist, familiar means invisible. They crave new supply because newness itself is the drug. They are addicted to first moments, the first touch, the first glance, the first validation. Chasing never lead anywhere. They project their own impulses onto you. They accuse you of cheating, interrogate your whereabouts. This is confession through projection. Because they cannot control themselves, they assume you cannot either. They inhabit a paranoid world where everyone is dangerous because they are dangerous. Their jealousy is not love. It is a thief's fear of being robbed. At its core, the addiction is a defense against death. The narcissist is terrified of aging and mortality. Sexual desirability becomes proof of existence. As long as they can attract partners, they feel alive and untouchable. They seek younger partners to siphon youth and vitality. They are vampires trying to outrun the grave by feeding on others' life force. The addiction is a frantic attempt to deny their own decay. The turning point comes when compulsion overwhelms caution. Early on, they were careful, but addiction always escalates. The risks grow larger. They become sloppy. You find a receipt, an undeleted message, a strange scent on their clothes. Their arrogance convinces them they are immune, but addiction makes them reckless. They begin acting out in ways that cannot be ignored. The house of cards starts to sway under the weight of their own hubris. When you confront them, you encounter narcissistic rage. A healthy person caught cheating might show remorse. A narcissist erupts in fury. How dare you look? How dare you question them? They attack you for discovering the truth. This is Darvo, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Attacked and reverse victim and offender. They flip the narrative instantly. I wouldn't have to do this if you were more loving. They place the blame for their addiction squarely on you. Your pain becomes a weapon in their hands. You begin to notice the chill in their eyes as the mask of the caring partner falls away, exposing the attic beneath. They look at you with disdain. You are no longer a partner. You are an obstacle to their next fix. the guard standing between them and their drug. They stop concealing their contempt. They may gaslight you, insisting you're unstable, suspicious, insecure. Even with undeniable proof, they fight relentlessly for their right to continue using. Triangulation becomes blatant. Instead of hiding other women or men, they flaunt them. They comment on how attractive someone else is. They compare you unfavorably. This is done deliberately to erode your self-worth so you won't leave. They want you to feel grateful. They tolerate you. They attempt to normalize their harem. Monogamy isn't natural, they say, intellectualizing their inability to control themselves. They may escalate into coercive control in the bedroom. Their hunger for stimulation grows darker, more degrading. They pressure you into acts that violate your comfort. If you refuse, they use it as justification to cheat. You won't give me what I need. Your boundaries become their excuse for betrayal. They're trying to pull you into their pathology. The scale of deception becomes clear. It was never a single lapse. It was a way of life. Business trips were sex trips. Late nights at work were rendezvous. The entire relationship was a manufactured illusion. This rupture of reality is the most devastating blow. You realize you fell in love with a character portrayed by an actor who was sleeping with the audience during intermission. Lambda? The narcissist quickly begins to devalue you. Now that you see the truth, you are no longer a source of admiration. You are a source of scrutiny. And they despise being judged. They start treating you as an enemy. Affection is withdrawn completely. They punish you for the crime they committed. You are trapped with someone who hates you for recognizing their true face. Brilliant. They may experience a collapse of their own. If the exposure is public, if they lose status, reputation, or work, they spiral, but not into accountability. They spiral into victimhood. Everyone is against me. They play the martyr. They shed performative tears to manipulate you into staying. They promise therapy, change, recovery from sex addiction. Be cautious. The sex addiction label is often used as a get-out-of-jail card. It becomes a sympathy tool. It's a disease. I can't help it. While the compulsion exists, the core issue is the absence of empathy. The diagnosis becomes a shield against responsibility. They want you to heal them so they can repeat the cycle. They weaponize the language of recovery. This phase ends with a choice. You realize love cannot cure an addiction. You cannot be attractive enough, patient enough, or perfect enough to fill the void. You are pouring water into a bottomless container. The truth hits hard. You are not fighting for a relationship. You are fighting for your sanity against a biological machine programmed to consume and destroy. As the addiction devours them, the narcissist enters spiritual insolvency. They look drained. Their complexion dulls. Maintaining a double life accelerates aging. They are exhausted. The highs no longer satisfy. They require more extreme stimulation just to feel alive. They are chasing a dragon that keeps retreating. Anxiety, misery, and emptiness dominate. Consequences begin to surface. Friends distance themselves. Colleagues whisper. The carefully polished reputation is stained. For a narcissist, reputation is survival. Losing it feels like psychic death. Paranoia sets in. They lash out at anyone perceived as a threat. They become a wounded animal, volatile and dangerous. Bloomed a new supply inevitably disappoints them. The people they cheated with become dull once conquest ends. They are left with shallow, disposable connections, no one to trust. no one to rely on. They traded a diamond for pockets of gravel. The isolation of addiction closes in, a cold prison of their own construction. They may tumble into other addictions. Sex addiction rarely exists alone. Alcohol, drugs, gambling, cross addictions emerge to manage the anxiety of collapse. They are trying to patch a sinking ship with scraps. They are unraveling in real time. Lambed, the superhuman image disintegrates, revealing a frightened, unstable child. Narcissistic mortification sets in. The shame they fled finally overtakes them. Instead of humility, it breeds hostility. They resent you for surviving. They despise you for leaving. They want to destroy you because you are living proof of their failure. If they cannot possess you, they want to ensure no one else ever can. You, the survivor, are left dealing with STD, fear, and physical trauma. You have to get tested. You are forced to confront the bodily reality of their betrayal. This is the ultimate violation. They gambled with your life for a fleeting rush. That realization extinguishes any remaining affection and replaces it with something solid and unshakable. You understand they were willing to destroy you emotionally and physically to feed their ego. Lambed, the narcissist then launches into hysterical hoovering. They sense they are losing their primary supply. Panic sets in. They propose marriage, offer lavish gifts, shout declarations of love. It's theater. It's the addict swearing they'll never drink again while hiding a bottle behind their back. It's pitiful. You look at them now and no longer see a partner. You see a caricature. Clowns. They begin projecting their self-hatred onto you. They tell you that you are unlovable, that no one else will ever want you. That voice is theirs, not yours. They are terrified that they are unlovable. They are trying to hand you their shame so they don't have to carry it. Refuse the package. Addiction strips away their humanity. They become mechanical. They drift from person to person with vacant eyes. Even basic connection is gone. They are phantoms haunting dating apps, searching for a heartbeat to siphon. They are the walking dead. In the end, collapse exposes the truth. They were never powerful. They were enslaved to a chemical drive they cannot master. They are weak. You, the one who stayed, who loved, who tried to save them, you are the strong one. And now you are using that strength to leave. Here is the final truth. You were never the problem. You could have been flawless, stunning, endlessly sexual, and they still would have betrayed you. A black hole cannot be filled. Their addiction is a structural fracture in their inner world. It does not reflect your value. It exposes their emptiness. Stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And start asking, why was I accepting someone who had nothing inside? You must redefine intimacy. What the narcissist offered was not intimacy. It was intensity. Intensity is cheap. Intensity is easy. Real intimacy is safety. Real intimacy is loyalty. Real intimacy means your partner protects your body and your heart even when you are absent. The narcissist cannot do this. You were hungry for nourishment and they fed you gravel. Understand this. Their desire is not a compliment. Being wanted by a narcissist is like being chosen by a parasite. They don't want you. They want to consume you. They feed on your light to conceal their darkness. Do not feel flattered by their obsession. Feel repelled. Feel alarmed and leave. You must detox from chaos. You became conditioned to emotional highs and crashes. Peace will feel dull at first. That is normal. That is your nervous system recovering. Learn to tolerate calm. Learn to value a partner who is consistent, even if they lack the toxic excitement the narcissist manufactured. Boring is safe. Boring is healthy. Walk away from the performance. You do not need to compete with their exes or the imaginary rivals living in their phone. The game is fixed. The only way to win is to exit the arena. Let them play alone. You have retired from the league of dysfunction. Do not offer closure or friendship. They will use access to you to triangulate their next victim. My ex still wants me. Don't give them that weapon. Cut contact completely. Become unreachable. Your silence is the one thing they cannot exploit. Your body is yours. It is sacred. It is not a landfill for someone else's shame. Reclaim your sexuality. Reclaim your self-worth. You are complete on your own. You do not need a broken person to confirm your existence. The narcissist will continue the cycle. They will find new supply. They will love bomb. They will betray. They will destroy. It is a tragedy on repeat, but you are off the ride. You are standing on solid ground, watching the carousel spin out of control from a safe distance. Use this pain to forge unbreakable boundaries. You now possess dangerous knowledge. You can spot a predator instantly. You know that hypersexuality without intimacy is a warning sign, not an invitation. You are wiser. You are stronger. You are untouchable. The narcissist remains enslaved to desire, condemned to endless hunger. But you are free. You are capable of real love, faithful love, deep love. Go claim it. It is waiting for you beyond this nightmare. Class dismissed.